all of these different references to Cody. A lot of people are referencing Cody, which makes a lot of sense. WrestleVotes coming out with the tweet with the eyeballs. Slice Wrestling with the contract signing GIF. Obviously, WWE being in Jacksonville made a lot of sense. Now, as you guys know, on this channel, we've been talking a lot about Cody Rhodes, especially with the reports coming from Meltzer and just a whole bunch of different stuff. You know, a lot of people have been talking about the rumors, and we will get into that. Sam Piboon says, I will miss Scott Hall and never forget about him. Will Cody Rhodes return to WWE Raw next week? Very interesting question. Sam, thank you for your super chat. I mean, at this point, I don't know. I don't know what WWE's plan is, right? We can only go off of public knowledge and public information. And I think deep down inside, based on what we have heard, based on what WWE is doing, obviously WWE is taking advantage of the trend. Obviously, WWE is taking advantage of what people are saying and what people are doing. So, yeah, I think it's very well possible that WWE is going to get people to want to watch next week. There's obviously, at this point, you know, there's rumors that Cody is signing for a big amount of money. We talked about it on the channel. Slice Wrestling had a report. You know, they basically had a report that we talked about on the video, where it was a big offer from Vince McMahon, TV, this, that, and the whole nine. So, yeah, I think to a certain extent, Cody Rhodes going to WWE is still very well possible. Obviously, time will tell. But who knows, right? There's been a lot of leaks, a lot of information. Obviously, moments before Raw went on the air, there was leaks on Reddit as well. So that was another thing that contributed to a lot of people talking about Cody. And then, obviously, WWE's commentators playing into it. So, you know, Sam, first of all, thank you for your super chat. Secondly, I do think it is very well possible Cody's going to WWE. Now, here's the thing. With Cody going to WWE or not going to WWE, I think the most important thing that people need to realize here is just look at how incredibly big of a topic this has become in the world of pro wrestling. Cody Rhodes stays quiet. He's not talking about this. You have wrestling media sources who are talking about this. They're talking about Cody. And then in reaction to that, you have people on YouTube talking about it. You have me. You have wrestling fans all over talking about Cody. And it just goes to show you that whatever decision Cody makes is actually a really big deal, which is a really good thing for Cody Rhodes. Now, I see a lot of people. I see people are saying that Seth Rollins losing to Kevin Owens officially opens the door for the Cody feud. Now, I think Seth Rollins losing to Kevin Owens was a wonderful way for WWE to not only put over Kevin Owens first and foremost right before he goes to WrestleMania, but also it's a beautiful thing to see WWE in a situation where, you know, Seth Rollins, they're building the story of Seth Rollins not having an opponent. Tonight's episode was very well supposed to set up Seth Rollins' opponent for WrestleMania. So who knows exactly what is actually going to happen here. Now, I do believe that for Cody Rhodes to not go to WWE, if it is true that he was offered this massive offer, if he was offered all of these different things, you know, the TV shows, the reality stuff, the big checks, the championship stuff, you know, if Slice Wrestling is correct with that report and Cody Rhodes decides to turn it down, I think that would be a very interesting decision for Cody Rhodes. First and foremost, when it comes to this Cody Rhodes drama, just think about this for a second. Literally, since the moment that Cody Rhodes and AEW revealed that he left AEW, there has been nonstop talk about Cody Rhodes. The real question was, how much will WWE actually play into it? I don't know if WWE has this plan where maybe Seth Rollins goes into WrestleMania without an opponent, only for everybody to be shocked when Cody comes out. You know, maybe that's the plan. It kind of reminds me of when John Cena went to WrestleMania without a match, right? Just think about that. John Cena went to WrestleMania without a match. He was sitting in the crowd, and then obviously we saw what happened there. Can WWE be going the same route? That is a very interesting scenario here. It is very clear here today that everybody who doesn't watch WWE was willing to watch WWE. So how much influence does Cody Rhodes actually have on this wrestling industry? Right now, I would say there is a lot. Now, I've seen a whole bunch of arguments as to why WWE in today's situation, I've seen some people say, hey, maybe Cody Rhodes is not going to WWE. I've seen people have this argument, maybe he's not going to WWE. And that's completely fine if he does or doesn't. I don't think it really matters. I think if he doesn't go to WWE, it's good on WWE for taking advantage of this. If he does go to WWE, I start to question, how will WWE properly tell stories with Cody Rhodes just a few weeks away from WrestleMania? Because just a moment ago, we're talking about Seth Rollins going into WrestleMania without a match. And while that is very possible that they set it up as a surprise, I feel like WWE would want to sell more tickets in advance. It's just something I'm noticing here. If for some reason Cody actually is part of WWE, like it's been reported, right? I feel like 2 weeks, two and a half weeks or whatever is not really a big build. Now, I'm reading the comments, I'm reading the chat, and people are saying Cody is playing, you guys. Look, Cody's not doing anything. Cody is not doing anything. As far as that goes right now, what really needs to be said is that there are rumors that Cody Rhodes is signing with WWE. There was a leak prior to the show that suggested Cody Rhodes was going to return tonight. And obviously WWE played into it. So either WWE moments before knew they were going to play into it, or WWE obviously knew ahead of time that Cody is coming to WWE. Now also, mind you, for those who don't follow WWE social accounts, WWE's Espanol account on Twitter even tweeted something about a major surprise tonight. So WWE is definitely playing into this. Cody Rhodes is completely silent on social media. I made a video talking about Meltzer mentioning Cody possibly showing up to Raw in Jacksonville. Obviously, that didn't happen. It goes to show you there's a lot of interest in Cody right now, and I do give them props for playing into this. And I think it's a really big thing for AEW if Cody went back to AEW. It's a very interesting scenario covering and talking about wrestling. It's just one of those things I've noticed. I don't think I've seen something so incredibly massive than what we are seeing with Cody Rhodes today. And I know Sean Ross Sapp, we talked about it in another video. Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful Select, had mentioned previously that there was multiple offers from multiple companies. I figure that Cody Rhodes is probably going to want... I think Cody Rhodes will probably want, obviously, I can't speak for the guy, but I feel like he would want really good character, really good, a really good situation as far as storytelling goes and being in the spotlight. I can't speak for him, but I would imagine if you're the former EVP of AEW and you're coming to WWE, I feel like you would want some sort of prominent character, some sort of prominent role on television. Can WWE offer that? That's a real question that people need to start asking. Can WWE offer that? I think WWE can. I think WWE has shown us time and time again when they absolutely try, they can put on a really, really good show. WWE playing into the Cody rumor stuff, if they're not bringing Cody in, I think it's a bad look for WWE. I do believe that. So I think we are in a situation where WWE could very well be playing up to this, knowing damn well they don't have Cody. Or WWE knows that they have Cody and they're trying to get people interested for as long as possible until it finally happens. I also want to mention Cody Rhodes not showing up tonight doesn't mean Cody Rhodes is not going to WWE. The future of Seth Rollins in WrestleMania, right? It's up in the air right now. The idea was that whatever happened tonight on March 14th, 2022, WWE would have set up Seth Rollins' new match. Obviously, they didn't begin a program with Seth Rollins. They didn't begin a program with Seth Rollins for WrestleMania. There's no way they keep Seth Rollins away from WrestleMania. So, is there a chance that they set it up next week? It's going to be very interesting in the next 24 hours to see what type of reports come out. Obviously, there is a lot of talk. There's a lot of rumors. There's a lot of stuff being said. I mean, the way I look at it, it's a very tough situation for WWE because you want to bring in Cody under the right circumstances, I think. I think you want to bring in Cody in a situation where it's treated as a big deal. I also think if you're WWE, you want to do something meaningful. I'm not sure if 2 or 3 weeks is enough build for Cody Rhodes. So Seth Rollins not showing up tonight with a face-to-face interaction with Cody, I mean, there could be a million reasons for it. But I do find that to be very interesting that they didn't set up a program for Seth. They didn't set up a program for Seth Rollins. He went to a main event match with Kevin Owens for a chance to have a talk show with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Kevin Owens obviously won. Seth Rollins doesn't have a match for WrestleMania. When I see that being the case, I still think the possibility of Seth showing up at Mania against Cody would make a lot of sense. Now, for those who are unaware, I mentioned it in my video today. There was reportedly a major offer for Cody Rhodes to come into WWE. The report was that WWE was in a Vince McMahon, WWE had a major offer for Cody. This came from Slice Wrestling. Major offer, reality TV shows, championship reigns, a big amount of money. Then later on, Slice Wrestling posted a GIF that Cody Rhodes, well, not Cody Rhodes, but there was a signing. Obviously, there was a lot of play into it with, obviously with all social media and stuff like that. I think there's a lot of people who genuinely believe that Cody Rhodes is still coming to WWE. But I know for a fact that people are losing their patience. That is for sure. Real Take Sports drops a super chat for $4.99. Does WWE do a good job at booking faces? Also, keep up the good work, Ango. Thank you, Real Take Sports. I appreciate that. So I'm going to answer this. I think WWE creatively has a tough time booking baby faces. In fact, I'll even say sometimes they have a tough time booking heels, which is why I'm so intrigued by Cody Rhodes coming to WWE, by the way, just because I think he could bring something different. But when I look at AEW and the way that they book their baby faces compared to WWE, I notice a difference. Now, WWE, for example, right now, the way they're booking Brock Lesnar as a babyface is a great job. WWE, the way they're booking Bianca Belair as a babyface, they're doing a great job. The way WWE books RK Bro as a babyface, they do a good job. But I feel like sometimes their storylines, the storytelling that they're doing as baby faces, it's just, I'm a good guy and that's it. And I think in the real world, the way it would work is if you're a wrestler, right, and you're a baby face, I feel like sometimes you have to show attitude. I think sometimes you have to show different characteristics, different tendencies. I think you got to be more than just, I'm going to help you out type of wrestler. I think as a babyface, you need to be the type of person that goes into it, you know, kind of show a little bit of tweener characteristics. I also think, you know, WWE, they have this tendency to book in general. This is something that I've noticed is they tend to book their show in a way where it's like, okay, I am a babyface. I want to challenge for a title belt. I'm going for the title. Then that said babyface ends up losing that opportunity, by the way. They lose that opportunity. They might get another opportunity later, but they just go on to a different feud. If I'm a babyface and I'm losing these big matches, I should see some characteristic changes, right? I should become a little bit more disappointed in myself. Maybe I'm going to work on myself. Maybe I'm going to change myself a little bit to get better and to improve. But you don't see that with WWE's baby faces. Not really a thing in wrestling. So to answer your question, I do think they do a decent job, but I think it just depends on the person. Sometimes I think the way they book baby faces could also be very cringe. The way they've booked Drew McIntyre, it's something I've criticized. The Sword. I get why they do it. I understand from a business perspective why WWE does that, but truth be told, I don't necessarily agree with it. But a very, very interesting show. WWE absolutely played into this thing, man, and it is absolutely crazy to see WWE play into it. I want to be paying attention to the news. There's a lot of rumors. There's a lot of stuff that suggests that Cody Rhodes is very well coming to WWE. Tonight just wasn't the night. I'm very intrigued to see what happens. Thank you, Real Take Sports, by the way, again, for your super chat. If anybody else wants to get in their super chats, go ahead and get those in now. We're going to be answering questions throughout the night. Overall, guys, what did you think of WWE Raw tonight? Better yet, I have a question for those. Maybe you are somebody who was logged into social media. Maybe you logged into social media, you saw the rumors, you saw these reports, you saw everything that we saw, right? You saw these rumors of Cody. Maybe you don't watch WWE. So why did you watch WWE? Is it because of Cody? I'm just curious as to seeing why there was so much interest tonight as far as Cody Rhodes go. I understand that people are obviously interested in Cody Rhodes and what he's been doing and things like that, but I look at WWE being in a very, very, very interesting spot because keep in mind, Cody Rhodes was not announced by WWE. WWE's playing into it, but they're not announcing it. So obviously there was a lot of people paying attention to this despite no mention coming from WWE. It's the same thing that happened during WWE's Madison Square Garden. WWE is clearly playing into this. So if you're somebody who did not watch WWE Raw, and tonight you decided to watch it, was it because of the Cody Rhodes rumors? It's a very intriguing situation. I think as a fan, we're all growing impatient. I think we're all growing impatient of this. The Cody rumors. Veer still hasn't come to Raw. Obviously, people are curious as to what WWE is going to do. It got me thinking. If Cody Rhodes isn't showing up, just theoretically, if Cody Rhodes isn't showing up to WWE, who would you rather see? Who would you rather see versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania? The more and more that I think about this, let's just take the Cody Rhodes situation off the table. I think maybe there could be a situation where you have Cody Rhodes take the back seat, show up for Raw after WrestleMania. Let's just say that's the case, right? Let's say he's not booked for WrestleMania. I would maybe book Seth Rollins versus Corey Graves. Is that something that could be possible? I'm curious. There's been a lot of a lot of mixed reports too, by the way, when it comes to WWE and Cody Rhodes and everything like that. So nobody really knows exactly what to expect here. I just know that a lot of people are playing into this. By the way, Slice Wrestling had tweeted out after the GIF of the signing. He had tweeted out, retweet if you're ready for WWE Raw. And then obviously there was a GIF of Cody Rhodes making his New Japan entrance. So again, people are definitely playing into it. People are definitely talking about it. I think no matter what, Seth Rollins versus Cody has to be the match at WrestleMania. If Cody Rhodes is showing up to WWE, it's got to be against Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. But it makes me intrigued because Corey Graves is now cleared for matches. So is there a situation where WWE can put in Corey Graves? Zachary has just renewed his membership for 2 months. It seems like what happened with Bray. Everyone kept reporting he is signing here or there, but he didn't. Rochester, AEW, everyone thought he'd come. Absolutely. Zachary's 100% right. This is another Bray Wyatt situation. And there's nothing wrong with it, by the way. Nothing wrong with it. Let's just be clear with that. We don't know what the hell is happening here. We'll obviously see it unfold in real time. But it's a very, very crazy situation. Thank you again, by the way, Zachary, for renewing your membership with us. If you guys want to join, it's $4.99 a month. As you guys know, I bring my reactions to the latest reports and news and wrestling, and I give you my opinions, my analysis. Right now, it's a little bit of a tough time in regards to Cody. Since Cody has left AEW, we've talked about this so many different times. It's very interesting. Albert Ponce, he just left a $5 super chat. If Cody does sign with WWE, who do you see Brandi wrestling with? Since she seems to want to wrestle, it seems weird that they would both not sign together. Thank you so much for your super chat, Albert. I appreciate it. I think with Brandi, I mean, it's another interesting situation, honestly, when you think about it, because she does plan on wrestling, being a mother and stuff. She's got to be a mother. She's a businesswoman. She's really good at the behind the scenes stuff. I think it's a situation where WWE should bring in Brandi Rhodes. I know a lot of people will disagree with that, but I do think WWE should bring in Brandi Rhodes when Cody Rhodes turns heel. When Cody Rhodes turns heel. I don't think they need to rush into that, but I do think they should bring her in when he turns heel, because I think that would be a good idea to get him over as a heel. If they do decide to go that route. If Cody Rhodes comes into WWE, that's what I would do. Brandi Rhodes, I think right now, I mean, you got AJ Lee, who is working for Women's of Wrestling. I think that could be an interesting scenario. Maybe Brandi Rhodes goes there in some sort of backstage capacity. Obviously, she has the Shot of Brandi YouTube stuff. That could be something very interesting. I would like to see her work into that. But again, Albert, it's very, very tough. If Cody does sign with WWE, who do I see Brandi wrestling with? I don't know if I necessarily see her wrestling. But I do think if Cody Rhodes goes into WWE and at some point becomes a heel, I think Brandi Rhodes would get Cody over as a heel in a massive way. I'm not saying she has to be cutting promos on his behalf or anything like that. I'd rather not see that. But, having somebody help Cody win matches and whatnot, it's a very WWE thing to do. So I think that would be probably the best idea. Thank you again, Albert, for your super chat. Again, if you guys want to send super chats, go ahead and leave them in the chat. If you don't know how to do that, just click the little money sign next to the emoji. I'm reading all your super chats and all your donations, all that good stuff, as we continue to talk about this Cody Rhodes stuff. But if you're just tuning in, yeah, it was a very, very crazy thing, man. WWE playing into it. A lot of talk about Cody joining WWE. One thing that I just read in the chat too, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. But I just seen in the chat somebody mentioned, would tonight be the most appropriate day to start this major storyline based on the circumstances with Scott Hall? I mean, that's a good question. It's tough, man. You guys can see firsthand Corey Graves and everybody's emotions. Obviously, it's a tough circumstance. So Is it the most appropriate? I don't know if I'm the one that can really decide that. I think that's a question, maybe for somebody actually in WWE as to whether or not they believe it is. I said it earlier in the stream. I think WWE and the way that they presented their tribute to Scott Hall was absolutely beautiful. I really enjoyed that. Honestly, I really did. I think their video package was absolutely incredible. So that was very cool to see. Just a lot of people showing love too, which was pretty beautiful, Dwayne Jackson just left a super chat for $5. I don't think Cody Rhodes will sign with WWE. I could be wrong. I think he will show up at ROH Super Card of Honor. Thank you, Dwayne, for your super chat. That's a great comment. I don't know, man. I don't know. Literally, there's mixed reports on the Cody stuff. There is mixed reports on the Cody stuff. This is not the first time there's been mix-ups, but you got Slice, you got WrestleVotes, who is kind of making the same tease. Obviously, Meltzer playing into it a couple days ago with him possibly showing up. It's just a very, very interesting situation. And again, let's just say, for example, Cody Rhodes did in fact sign with WWE. Let's just say hypothetically. Let's say Cody Rhodes signed with him hypothetically today. What is the likelihood that Cody was going to fly out to Jacksonville and show up on TV like last minute? Again, it's a very crazy thing. Now, there was something that popped up on Reddit prior to the episode going on the air. And the person who leaked this information that Cody Rhodes is joining WWE was the same person that leaked quite a few different things. Ronda Rousey's return. This person also leaked the information for the Saudi Arabia pay-per-view where it was Becky versus Lita. There was a couple other stories that they had leaked prior to it actually happening. So, there is a lot that is being played into this. And I think that's why the Cody Rhodes thing is just such a massive story, because now it's being leaked that he's signing with WWE, but he didn't show up today. And logistically speaking, I'm sure there's a million things that go into it. But as like a wrestling fan, I think right now, if I'm being honest, I think there's nothing better than what's happening, regardless if Cody shows up or not. I think this is the best wrestling has been since COVID started. For those who watch me long enough know that I've been, like, during the beginning stages of COVID, I couldn't watch wrestling. I had a tough time watching it. No crowds. It was very difficult. Life was like kind of depressing at that time because nobody knew what the hell was happening. And I remember wrestling was going on and I was just not happy with it. And I think that's also another thing right now, wrestling, regardless of the company, man, I really think WWE is improving. They're not perfect, but they're improving. AEW, we already know they have a great show. Impact, I've been speaking very highly. They're doing phenomenal stuff. Then you throw in what NJPW Strong is doing. You throw in MLW in the mix. You throw in GCW. Wrestling is looking good these days, guys. And regardless of what happens with Cody, I'm extremely excited about wrestling right now because I think it just goes to show you that there's a lot of good that's happening. And, it kind of goes into this thing where, Dwayne, you kind of mentioned, I think he shows up at ROH Super Card of Honor. That's always a possibility, but you just never know. You just never know at this point. The information that's out there publicly suggests that Cody is joining AEW, or I'm sorry, he's joining WWE. Now, keep in mind, we talked about the Fightful Select report that an AEW EVP has already suggested that Cody is going to WWE and versing Seth Rollins. Like, at this point, it's just a wild ride. It's very bizarre. It's exactly what Cody Rhodes said. We got a $5 super chat from Cody Anderson. WWE is likely seeing more viewership with all the teasing of Cody. If he does, do you think the viewership will drop since the intrigue is over? Cody Anderson, thank you for your super chat for the $5. I appreciate that. So, if you notice, there was something that WWE did tonight during Raw, which, by the way, this is so important to mention. WWE, like within the first hour, they had Cody references, not Cody references. They had Seth Rollins backstage. There was Cody chants. They were teasing this whole thing of Seth Rollins and his WrestleMania opponent. So obviously WWE was playing into the Cody Rhodes thing. Then we go through, like, throughout the show, it was very clear that this show was about Seth Rollins and his WrestleMania opponent. And obviously WWE would do this to retain viewers throughout the entire show. It's a very, very big business move for WWE to do. So I think WWE kept viewership throughout the night because people were intrigued to see what happens. Now I think WWE, if they are bringing in Cody, I genuinely think WWE is going to announce it ahead of time. I do. I see that happening. I see WWE announcing it to keep viewership strong, because I do think in a way people will not be interested in watching next week without any sort of teases or certainty that Cody is showing up. This is why AEW is constantly teasing surprise signings and debuts. So if you're Cody Rhodes and you're actually signing to WWE, I think WWE should play into it kind of like what they did with AJ Styles, right? It was a bad secret that AJ Styles was coming to WWE. WWE.com posted an article that Bullet Club and Kenny and all these guys could have potentially showed up to WWE. And then what ended up happening? AJ Styles debuted at the Royal Rumble. So for context, I could see WWE playing into it a little bit more to get people to watch next week. But if WWE doesn't get Cody Rhodes, and if they don't get Cody Rhodes and they don't tease it, they don't play into this anymore, I mean, I think it's a no-go. Now, obviously, I'm looking at the chat, and some people are saying, hey, Cody could show up Wednesday and crap all over WWE. I mean, you never know. You never know. And maybe, you know, Cody did say it, man. It's a bizarre, wild ride, and I think right now it's very telling. Like, whatever happens, I think it's going to dictate whether or not people will watch WWE. It will dictate whether people watch AEW. If companies are like, if WWE plays into this so much and then they don't deliver, I think some people will not really want to watch, you know? Now, I think WrestleMania is a very, very big show, and WWE wants to make WrestleMania very successful. And I think the way that they're going to be able to do that is by having big marquee matches. I understand that, you know, earlier on the stream we were talking about like how WWE can kind of have Cody show up at Mania. I just don't think it makes a lot of sense business-wise. I think WWE wants to keep this viewership. So, Cody Anderson, thank you again for your super chat. But again, I think when it comes to viewership and overall business, I think it benefits from WWE announcing it ahead of time or playing into it ahead of time. Michael in the chat just said, Vince has a history of scrapping plans when they leak online. Maybe Cody's debut has been pushed to after Mania. I mean, who knows? Who knows? What makes it very intriguing is that you have an AEW EVP who goes on to say that Cody could potentially be going to fight against Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, right? When something like that comes out, why would an AEW EVP openly promote WWE? You know what I mean? It doesn't make a lot of sense. So it's just something to kind of keep in mind. It's a very, very crazy time to be a wrestling fan, but I think that's what makes it intriguing, honestly. I really do. I think that's what makes it intriguing. It's a wonderful thing to see that people are excited again. Whether you like or hate WWE, whether you like or hate AEW, right now there's a lot of good things happening in wrestling. So if Cody goes to WWE, that's amazing. If Cody doesn't go to WWE, hey, man, it's all good. Either way, I'm going to continue bringing you the updates on the latest stories. That's just how it goes. The biggest stories, the biggest rumors, I'm going to continue giving my reactions to them. I might like it, I might hate it. My opinions might change over time. I am definitely one of those people where I say let it play out. And unfortunately, being a WWE fan, it's a lot tougher to watch it play out than it is, let's say, for AEW or Impact. Because usually AEW or Impact will give you the results that you're looking for. WWE is obviously taking advantage of this Cody hype, so letting it play out doesn't necessarily work in my favor right now, because I could be waiting and waiting and waiting only to be disappointed, which obviously it appears that right now there is a lot of people who are disappointed. Also, just really, I don't know. There's a lot of interesting stuff. I'm just going through Twitter right now. Steve Carrier from Ringside News, he tweeted out, "This is why we don't take news from Reddit. No Cody Rhodes, not surprised. We were told multiple times this weekend that there were not plans for him on WWE Raw this week." Also, I mean, right now as it stands, people are still gushing over social media about the headline, right? Seth's WrestleMania dreams were dashed. I don't know why WWE would play into that. That's how Graves ended WWE Raw, by the way. So that's a very, very crazy thing, man. WWE is trolling their fans at this point. Cody Rhodes isn't returning to WWE. I mean, keep in mind, WWE is not the one who's announcing it. So wrestling media has come out. There's been different sources. We've been talking about this on the channel. That at this point, there was rumors and reports that Cody was signing to WWE. Zachary with another super chat for $4.99. Like you said prior to AEW buying ROH, you said they had a bloated roster and they keep signing people. Now that they own ROH, are you okay with it? 100%. I'm 100% okay with it. Yeah, I mean, at that point, AEW has a whole... Tony Khan has another wrestling show where he can use these people back and forth. It appears that ROH will be used as a developmental system. You know, it's a very good situation for AEW in general. People are, you know, for their roster. And also, I am very okay with it in terms of long term. As long as people are being used, I think it's okay. Now, if you're just signing people just to hot shot it, I mean, it is what it is. Thank you again, Zachary, for your super chat for $4.99. Nightmare says, how long are you going to milk this? You have been reporting false news for so long. Nightmare, thank you so much for participating in the chat. I mean, I think it's pretty simple. There's been a lot of reports on this Cody stuff. My channel, I've always reacted to this news, whatever it is. Obviously, you know, right now what's happening with Cody Rhodes is a big topic. You have Sean Ross Sapp, you have Dave Meltzer, you have Cassidy Haynes, you have Slice Wrestling, you have WrestleVotes. You have a lot of people who are talking about this. It's a very big story. So I'm going to continue updating my audience with whatever happens. I'm going to give you guys my reaction. I think that's just so important for people to know that, like, right now what's happening in wrestling, there's a lot of big stories. We're going to keep talking about them. And by the way, shout out to all of these people who do a great job of getting scoops, right? Look at what Cassidy Haynes and Sean Ross Sapp and all of these guys have done. You know, they're doing fantastic work. And at the end of the day, they're going to keep providing people with information, and I'll chime in with my opinions and stuff. But I think right now, as far as that goes, everybody's doing a phenomenal job. You know, look at the news that we got with Jeff Hardy and Swerve as well. You know, that was something that we talked about multiple times because there was some different reports. So at the end of the day, we'll continue to bring you guys the latest in wrestling. That's what makes this fun. We're building a community out in Discord. And for me personally, I'm excited about everything we're seeing. Even when things don't pan out, you know, it's like Bray Wyatt. And then eventually it came out that Bray Wyatt it was too expensive a contract. So ultimately some good stuff happening in wrestling. Dwayne Jackson left another super chat for $10. With TK buying ROH and treating it like developmental, but you have Gresham, the ROH champ, and the Briscoes, the tag champs, why would TK consider ROH champs as a developmental brand? That's a wonderful question, Dwayne. That's a really hard question to answer, by the way, because right now, as it stands in ROH and AEW, we don't know. Those guys technically aren't signed to ROH. So AEW could very well have these guys drop their belts. They can vacate the belts after. Tony Khan is booking Supercard of Honor, and I assume that we're going to see some people that haven't been used on Dynamite and Rampage be used for ROH. If it gets treated like NXT, I think it's a good thing. You know, NXT has a world champion. They have tag team champions. I just don't know if it makes sense using those existing champions. Plus, there was the news that Fightful Select had dropped the other day in regards to the Briscoes and Warner Media not wanting them. So why would TK consider ROH champs as a developmental brand? That's something that we'll have to figure out as time goes on. And we'll know once we get closer to Supercard of Honor what that's going to look like As a wrestling fan, though, I don't think it really matters. If he has Jonathan Gresham as a champion, maybe he actually signs Jonathan Gresham to AEW. I think it could be a good idea. I also do want to see them potentially do something with the Pure champion, right? The Pure title belt. The Pure rules. I think that's something I would love to see them keep. Just something I think ROH should definitely have, even going into this new future under Tony Khan. Thank you again, Dwayne Jackson, for another super chat for $10. We got another super chat from Coach Proskais. I apologize, Prostagies. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. $4.99 super chat. Corey wouldn't have said that without Vince's blessing. Feels like their program could start next week to keep interest, but it be Mania for the pop. Hey, that is a very big possibility too. Thank you for your super chat for $4.99. Let's talk about this. Yeah, I mean, obviously Vince McMahon is in the headset of all of their commentators, so it's very well possible that Cody Rhodes could have even been fed the line. If Cody Rhodes was fed that line, obviously WWE is playing into it. They're not stupid at this point. It is very clear that people are talking about Cody in WWE. People are talking about Cody in general. And, you know, right now, look at social media. People are talking about it. So if Vince McMahon is aware of this and the wrestlers are aware of this, they're obviously going to play into it. I do agree. Corey would not say anything without Vince's blessing. You know, Seth's WrestleMania dreams were dashed. That's a very, 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 very big, huge teaser to end the show. And I do think that was on purpose. I do think 100% that is on purpose. And I'm not shocked that WWE did that. Thank you again, Coach, for your $4.99 super chat. I do greatly appreciate that. Thank you for your support. We did get another super chat from Zachary for $1.99. CM Punk will be the main event at ROH Supercard. Man, I really hope so. I really do genuinely hope so. That would be really cool. Especially, you know, when you look at the history there of ROH and CM Punk. I would like to see CM Punk there. It's a very tough situation too for Tony Khan, because Supercard of Honor is an ROH event. It's not an AEW event. And I'm curious if maybe Tony Khan, to help sell and to help bring attention to it, because we do know that Tony Khan is looking at doing things with high production value for ROH, obviously. So I'm curious if maybe this is a situation where Tony Khan not only invests in the production aspect of it, but then also brings in some AEW guys. My only hope is that ROH Supercard of Honor doesn't become just an AEW thing. Getting some indie talent in there would be really cool, in my opinion. That is something I would look forward to. Hopefully, that is something that they end up doing. Again, thank you, Zachary, for your super chat. I greatly appreciate that. If you guys want to continue supporting the show, don't forget you could become a member for $4.99 a month. We're building a huge community on our Discord server. Becoming a member will actually get you VIP access. Also, you can leave a super chat too. If you have any questions you guys want me to answer specifically, go ahead and drop that in the chat. Cam Bone says Supercard of Honor would be a good time to bring in Samoa Joe. Absolutely. I think Samoa Joe going to ROH Supercard of Honor would be really cool. Also, in terms of Impact Wrestling, they're running some stuff that week. I would love to see it. You know, I just think right now wrestling is so good, dude. It really is good, and I think that's the enjoyable thing for me, honestly. You know, I've been paying attention a lot recently to what AEW, WWE, Impact, everybody's doing, and I just feel like when you look at Supercard of Honor, you bring in Samoa Joe, that could be pretty damn massive. Nightmare says, how to support you if Super Chat is not available in my region. If Super Chat's not available in your region, hey, no worries. You know, leaving a like on the video helps. Becoming a member helps. I mean, sharing the stream helps, whatever. You know, my number one thing here is, and this is how I genuinely feel about YouTube too, is like, I want to bring people together to talk wrestling. We all enjoy wrestling. We can't control the outcomes of these shows. At the end of the day, we can tune in on Wednesday nights. We can't control if it's going to be a good show or a bad show. We watch Monday Night Raw. We can't control if Cody Rhodes is showing up or not. We can't control these reports. We can't We can't control any of that. But what we can do is come together. And when we come together, we can enjoy wrestling together. And that's one of the things that I do think is cool about wrestling and what we're doing specifically. And then also keep in mind, too, like right now with wrestling in general, there's still so much that hasn't happened yet. We still haven't seen the Cody Rhodes return, right? We don't know the final decision between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, even though I do think Roman Reigns is winning that match. We also know that we're in a situation with AEW where you just brought in Keith Lee and Swerve and you're building programs there. You have Wardlow and Scorpio Sky. And then if you look at Impact, you also got to look at what they're doing with Josh Alexander and Moose. There is a lot of things that I want to see the finish to. And we're getting closer and closer to that. And that is something that is really, really cool in my opinion. There's a lot to look forward to. Albert Ponce, with Supercard of Honor, what do you think of Britt Baker challenging Deanna for the ROH Women's title? I don't see her going after Jade since she's on a streak. I am going with her dropping title. Beautiful, beautiful comment. Yeah, Albert, that would be cool. Obviously, there's history there. They wanted to open up the forbidden door. Now, keep in mind, Deanna Purrazzo is still contracted to Impact. Is she going to hold the ROH Women's Championship belt? That's going to be very interesting. I would love to see what they do there. That is something that definitely intrigues me. Lucci Club Studios, I see you upset someone with you covering the Cody Rhodes news. LOL, keep up the good work, dude. Thank you, by the way. I appreciate that. Look, guys, we all know what I do here. I react to the latest stories in pro wrestling, okay? I read the sheets, so you don't have to. I keep you informed every day. There's a lot of great people providing information. There's a lot of great personalities on YouTube who talk about wrestling, okay? I think there is a lot of people who do a great job that do exactly what I do. And what's really cool about that is that right now, for the most part, we're all enjoying wrestling. Some stories hit, some stories miss. Some stories happen, sometimes they don't. Today, I mean, you never know. We might see Cody actually show up next week. We might see Cody. They might drop a tweet, for crying out loud. You don't know what WWE's going to do. Seth's WrestleMania dreams were dashed. That was obviously done on purpose. And I think right now in wrestling, we're all excited. And we're all going to talk about these big stories. We're all going to enjoy wrestling. And I think that's great because wrestling brings people together. And right now, there is a lot of reasons why we should all come together. Coach left another super chat. Thank you. $4.99 super chat on Pat McAfee show. Vince said he's a fan as well. He likes putting fans on edge and keeping them interested. Vince enjoys making waves. Cody is the guy. Coach, I agree with you. Which, by the way, if you guys have not seen Vince McMahon on the Pat McAfee show, I just think that was a spectacular watch. Truth be told, I mean, I think right now Vince knows. I think WWE knows what's happening, guys. You can go on Twitter right now and literally see what's trending. And again, it's like, if this happens, great. Good win for WWE. If this doesn't happen, not a loss for WWE. And I think right now, this has gotten to a point where wrestling in general has been all about making waves. It's all about making waves. Look at what AEW has done. AEW is teasing debuts. They happen. People get excited. It's like a beautiful thing. Maybe it happens too much, but for the most part, there is something to always look forward to in wrestling right now. And I don't think there's ever been a time other than now where that's really happened. It's been a long, long time. So, again, thank you, Coach, for your super chat. I definitely appreciate that. And I definitely agree. Yeah, I think he is a fan of wrestling. And I think Vince realizes there's a lot of people who are intrigued by this. And that's a beautiful thing to see. There are a lot of people. I can't tell you the last time I've seen this many people interested in WWE Raw. I can't recall the last time I've seen it. I really don't know. I really don't know the last time I've seen this many people interested in WWE Raw. And it just goes to show you that right now, it's a good time to be a fan. 96 Soccer Freak, Cody Rhodes returns at All Out, calling it now. Very interesting. I mean, you never know. He can always return at All Out. The reports are suggesting that he's going to WWE. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how that all works out, but who knows? Michael Kornmoyer, hopefully I pronounced that right. He says, Omas still needs an opponent for WrestleMania. Who would you match up with him? I don't think we see him in a singles match. WWE is going to be having a Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale thing. That'll be taking place on the SmackDown before WrestleMania weekend. Or on WrestleMania weekend, technically. I think Omas wins that for sure. I think Omas is definitely a lock for the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. I mean, keep in mind, tonight on Raw, we saw him compete against Commander Aziz. Kind of like a squash match, too. Obviously, WWE is pushing Omas. So I do think he ends up winning the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Other than that, I don't really see him being part of WrestleMania, but you never know. Maybe they have him get involved somewhere, somehow. Tecco says, if this is a work by Cody and Tony, they're actually helping WWE get ratings. Could it backfire on AEW in the end if it was a work this entire time? I don't know. Honestly, that's a wonderful question. That's a wonderful statement in general when you think about it too. Like right now, if you're watching WWE, there's a lot of people watching WWE who don't typically watch WWE, and it's because of the reports that are coming out. There is a lot of reports that are coming out, and WWE playing into it. WWE's not saying anything, so WWE technically isn't the bad guy here, you know. Just very, very curious to see how this all pans out. Again, not seeing Cody tonight doesn't mean he's not showing up, but it is a very, very intriguing thing. And if I'm being honest too, guys, like I am tired of talking about Cody Rhodes. You know, I am tired about it because I think for me as a fan, it's just like I want to see it happen. Obviously, like that's just me personally. Like I just want to see whatever is happening with Cody, whether it's AEW, MLW, Impact, ROH, New Japan, WWE, like whatever it is. I want to know when or if it's going to be like revealed, you know what I mean? Because I want to move on. It's no different than the Bray Wyatt stuff. I just want to move on from it. And obviously they all benefit from having us talk about it and whatnot, so it makes it fun and a little bit enjoyable. But yeah, I definitely am intrigued to see how it all pans out, and I just think we're in a situation where, you know, it's the waiting game, and the waiting game is not fun, in my opinion, but we'll see. Raph the Green Machine, do you really think that Cody will be going to WWE? I mean, look, I've said this before. To me, it doesn't matter whether he's going to WWE or AEW or New Japan, whatever. To me, it doesn't matter. My life is not really impacted by Cody's decision, obviously. But do I think he's going to WWE? I mean, when you have reports coming out that he's signing to WWE, yeah, I think he is. You know, I've been doing YouTube for like 10 years. You know, when a report comes out and they come from very reliable sources, you know, when these people drop the news, and, you know, obviously when you watch the show and you see the news drop, and then you see people are talking about it, obviously, like, you kind of want to see it just happen, you know? But I do agree with a lot of people who say, hey, like, this is getting annoying. You know what I mean? Like, I feel that for sure. So, do I think he's going to WWE? I do. I could be wrong. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure, you know, that I'm just going off these reports. If these reports are wrong and he shows up in AEW, am I mad? Hell no, I'm not mad. I like Cody Rhodes, so I'd prefer that he still wrestles regardless of what company. You know, I've already said on video too, I wouldn't mind seeing him on Impact. You know, can Impact afford it? I'm not sure, but it would be intriguing to me for sure. And there's a lot of logistics too that go around it, and yeah. Rod Roy says, do you really believe that Vince is a fan? Hasn't he stated several times that he doesn't watch wrestling? Of course Vince McMahon is a fan, but I think Vince McMahon, I mean, he's a businessman just like Tony Khan. You know, at the end of the day, their business is all about money. I'm not really willing to compare who's a bigger fan of wrestling or whatnot, because I think they both see wrestling a little bit different. Yeah, Nate TV says Cody will never go to Impact. You never know. I mean, he went to Impact before, right? I think it was like 2015, 2016. Cody went to Impact. Short-lived, but he was there. It was not bad. Yeah, I mean, this is a very, very, very crazy time. I love it, though, man. I really do love it. And I think, only time will tell. I do see that people are getting impatient. I read the comments to my videos. I read the comments to the streams, and I know that people are getting impatient. I am, too. As wrestling fans, too, it's funny because I'll be the first to admit it. Like, sometimes we want long-term storytelling. This is not a long-term story, in my opinion. AEW and Cody revealed that he left. We're just waiting to see what happens. There's not really a storyline being here. It's just whether he shows up in WWE or AEW or whatnot. I do hope that, I do hope at this point we just get to the part where it gets revealed, and then we can move on and get interested in the storylines that WWE produces with Cody Rhodes. I think that would be important. That would be fun. Yeah, just I thought it was a good episode of WWE, by the way. But it is very exhausting. I get that. I understand, there's a lot of people. Techo says very exhausting as a fan. I agree. I mean, at this point, we're just waiting to see what happens and then move on from it. Albert Ponce, we are all forgetting that Double J is starting something. That's where Cody is signing, LOL. To be honest, I could be wrong here, but I thought Jeff Jarrett was doing a minor league baseball thing. And I could totally be wrong about that, but I do think, from my understanding, he was not doing a wrestling promotion. That was a rumor, but then he actually revealed that wasn't the case. I didn't look up all the details on that, but I'm pretty sure he is not doing any of that. Let's see. Nate TV says Cody turned heel on the fans in Jacksonville. Bro, can you imagine being a fan in Jacksonville right now? And if Cody showed up too, that would have obviously been massive. But again, I think there's a lot of people, there's a lot of people who are looking forward to something and they want to see it happen, and I don't know. Guys, please don't spam the chat. That's no fun. Yeah, I literally, if you go on Twitter right now, there's just so many people talking about, there was another mention too, by the way. Graves mentioned how Rollins' WrestleMania hopes had been dashed. His dream has become a nightmare. Oh my God. They are definitely playing into it, that's for sure. Coach with another $4.99 super chat. With rumored title reigns are in the future for Cody, how would you feel him being WWE champion, something his dad has never done? Enjoy the content. Thank you, Coach. I mean, I've been saying for a long time, Cody should be a world champion in a promotion. I hated the stipulation in AEW. That was not something I was cool with. I definitely did not like that stipulation in AEW because I feel like Cody would have brought credibility. The rumored thing that Slice had dropped that we were talking about on the channel, multiple world championship or multiple championship reigns. I mean, it's something that they need to do. WWE should absolutely do it. And if WWE is in fact bringing in Cody, they need to start treating it like a big deal, right away. Suited and booted, ready to go. Present him no differently than how he was presented in AEW. And if it is possible, present him even bigger and better and badder. And by the way, they have an opportunity to utilize that in story because of his dad not winning the championship. So it is something for them to definitely do. Thank you again, Coach, for your super chat. I appreciate it. Zachary says, with a $4.99 super chat, without Vince, there is no wrestling on this scale. WWE has made wrestling the big deal it is. Vince deserves the credit for making wrestling big. Thank you again, Zachary, for another super chat. I do appreciate that a lot. And I do actually agree. Vince McMahon literally changed the game. And, I think definitely Vince McMahon inspired a lot of people to get involved in the business. And I think, there is no AEW without Vince McMahon. I think Vince McMahon showed people that you can make a lot of money off professional wrestling and streaming and TV. Look at those contracts that WWE has for Raw and SmackDown with USA Network, Peacock, right? And then you look at Fox also being involved. WWE is working with two of the largest television networks. And he did this with professional wrestling. Now, granted, yes, they are more character-centric. Yes, they are more sports entertainment. I get WWE's business reasoning for that. I get WWE's perspective, and I understand why people don't like it, right? I can see why people don't like it, but at the end of the day, Vince is showing people that you can make a boatload of money producing this, and it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, whether or not AEW is sports entertainment or pro wrestling, right? I think Vince is showing that pro wrestling can be viewed on a large scale. Then you have a company like AEW, right? Look at what AEW has done. They're the alternative. They're a pro wrestling company, less characters. But at the same time, too, you have to keep in mind, maybe Tony Khan would not have interest in doing AEW if there wasn't this opportunity with streaming rights and TV deals and stuff. So I think without Vince, there is no wrestling industry on this scale. I'm not saying the industry would die, but I just think on this scale, I don't think people would want to get involved with wrestling. And I think right now people do. I think that's the reason why there are a lot of companies. Impact, obviously ROH just got bought out. You have GCW, who, by the way, is doing some phenomenal stuff. They're catering to their audience. It works out for everybody involved. So, yes, I think Vince definitely deserves the credit, and I hope, as time evolves, we see major players really get invested in. I think that's, Tony Khan, hopefully long-term, stays invested and stays passionate about this, because I think Tony Khan also has a passion for what he's doing, and I think he's doing a great job with it. So maybe Tony Khan could be the next innovator in pro wrestling. We saw what Vince McMahon did back in the day, and now maybe Tony Khan has that same opportunity for many years to come. Thank you again for your super chat, both of you, Coach and Zachary. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for that. I do appreciate it. Let's see. I'm seeing some more comments. How will the Warner Media merger affect AEW, if at all? I mean, it's going to definitely be interesting to see what happens. Great question. I had been talking about Discovery and HBO Max coming together for a while now. Now it's officially happening. I think it's good, to be honest. I think for AEW, the biggest thing about streaming deals and streaming networks is they're all competitive, right? You look at Netflix, you look at HBO Max, you look at all of these companies, Paramount, ESPN Plus, they all have the same model, mostly. Then what you do is you start bundling content and try to offer it for as low as a price as possible. This way you get shows and all these different, viewerships, right? You're getting a whole bunch of content. It's a content-driven business. This is why pro wrestling, when you look at AEW, for example, if you look at AEW from a perspective of like TV, they have Dynamite and Rampage. When it comes to TV, now you add ROH into the mix. There's a lot of money they can negotiate with Warner Media. And then if you're adding it to HBO Max or Discovery Bros Plus or whatever they end up calling the app, whether it's a bundle or all one app, that's leverage. Hey, we can give you more content. And I think more people see it. And then the more people see it, the more that people can, the more that people see these types of matches and shows, you could start attracting that new audience. I'm trying to make sense of it, but they're, Discovery Plus or whatever their app is called will have casual viewers. If AEW is on HBO Max or AEW migrates to this app, you're going to have millions of people who may not watch AEW, and now they're going to be able to watch AEW. So again, I think it's a really good thing. Rodriguez, how can I make a super chat? There is a button right next to the custom emojis icon. It's got a $sign on it, and you can click it. You can click show your support for Ango, and then you can click super chat, and then you can leave an amount there. I think it'll tell you. I'm not too sure, but you'll be able to do that. Michael says, there are rumors coming out of Mania we will have a unified world champion, but we will also have Raw and SmackDown champions. If that is the case, who do you see being pushed to the top? I mean, right now, based on WWE's booking, I think Damian Priest is being pushed, and I think they'll continue to push him, but it's so hard to say. I watch on a weekly basis, and it's so tough, man. It's a really, really, really tough. It's a tough thing. Sorry if I feel like I'm right now. I just by the way, gonna point this out. WWE.com had actually posted this image, so I'm gonna throw this up on the stream. So this is WWE.com, by the way. So WWE.com has now uploaded this. KO dashes Seth freaking Rollins, WrestleMania Dreams and Wild Brawl. So for those who are not aware, WWE is now, after Raw, they are still playing into the Cody Rhodes thing. So very, very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Wow. I did not expect them to do that. But they are definitely playing into it. WWE is definitely playing into it. Guys, this is... WWE did this before AJ Styles came to WWE, and it happened, right? But who knows? I mean, like I said, there's people definitely coming out saying that WWE has signed Cody Rhodes. So it's a very crazy time. Very crazy time to be a wrestling fan right now. WWE is playing into this Cody stuff. It's actually kind of crazy. Like I said, I've been getting tired of it, but you look at what they're doing, and I think for me as a fan, I just want to see some new things happen. I want to see something new, really. And I think right now WWE can provide something new, obviously, by bringing Cody in. Obviously, AEW has a lot of new signings, so I'm curious to see how they kind of maneuver around that. But I'm just ready to move on. Ray Johnson says, "Is it confirmed that Scott Hall has passed?" Yeah, WWE confirmed it. They had a very touching tribute. I talked about this in the middle or in the beginning of the show, and yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just a very unfortunate situation. And again, just beautiful tribute. Beautiful tribute by WWE. They did a phenomenal job with it. Do you think Kenny Omega will join WWE one day? No, I don't think so. I mean, you never know. You never say never, but it just depends on AEW's success long term. Who knows, right? I didn't think Cody Rhodes would leave AEW, but it appears that he could very well be leaving AEW. Well, I mean, he already left AEW, but it very well appears that he can show up in WWE at any moment in time. So, very interesting stuff. It's crazy. By the way, WWE, just for shits and giggles, I kind of want to talk. Finn Balor lost to Damian Priest. It's kind of weird that WWE does that, right? Finn Balor just won the U.S. Championship, and then they book him to lose. So strange. I don't know why, but they made that decision. So crazy. What else? I'm reading the chat. Don't forget, guys, if you want to submit your super chat, just go ahead and click the icon with the money sign inside. I'll read off some of your questions and comments. Teco says, yeah, if Cody isn't WWE, I don't know if they can continue high ratings and keep fans' attention like they have now. They would have to pull off something major. I agree. Right now, I think WWE has a lot riding on the Cody Rhodes situation. Antoine says, I don't think Cody will show up today's Raw just by respect for AEW. I can see that being the case too. You know, WWE being in Jacksonville, if Cody Rhodes, in fact, is 100% confirmed for that, for WWE's contract, I think, yeah, I mean, I can see that being a situation like, hey, out of respect for AEW not to do that. I don't know. I mean, literally, at that point, we're just guessing things, so I don't want to like keep guessing at that. But I think, you know, when you look at Cody and AEW, he's been very respectful about AEW post AEW. He's still engaging on social media with some of the AEW wrestlers, so I don't think he would want to take shots at AEW. But who knows? Mintu says Ango is the best. Thank you, Mintu. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Jalen Marshall, what up, bro? Welcome to the stream. Michael says Finn didn't lose clean. It was due to Austin Theory. Just looks like they are setting up the next feud. I agree. I definitely agree. Definitely agree. My camera just burned out. That's unfortunate. So we're going to stay here. Don't leave. We're still here. We're just going to keep the audio going. Let's see what we got here. Oh, it looks like we got another super chat. This one came from Dark Devil for $2. I think they will do Demon Balor versus Priest. That would be really cool. I would be really interested in that for sure. That would be, you know, Demon Balor versus Damian Priest would be cool. I think that would be a really nice that'd be a really nice way to like make Finn Balor mean something at WrestleMania. I don't know, has Finn Balor lost as the Demon yet? Because that would be something to pay attention to as well. I wouldn't want him to lose as the Demon Balor. That's the only problem. But also WWE's in a situation like they could be booking themselves in a corner by doing that, because Damian Priest has also been booked so strong. So that is something to keep in mind. And again, thank you for your super chat, Dark Devil, and thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate that. Jake Smith says, did Cody show? No, he did not show. WWE is definitely playing into it. They're definitely talking. They're definitely getting people to think it's Cody. They're definitely teasing it. For clarification too, Michael Baumberger, he says Demon Balor lost to Roman. That's right. Now, granted, there was a little bit of logic to that. It was kind of dumb, but it was logical. I do remember that now. Coach says, is it me or does the logo look like it has the nightmare wings? That's always been the WWE logo, though, the Raw logo for a while. So, yes. I don't think they changed that just for Cody. Jake says, did Cody show up and people realizing he's still with AEW and this was all planned? Jake, it's tough to say. There's reports that Cody signed with WWE. So there's a lot of hints. There was a lot of leaks that Cody did sign with WWE at this point. I mean, nobody really freaking knows. But we're waiting to see, obviously, what happens. WWE is still playing into it, so you guys know. So you guys are aware. WWE is definitely still playing into it. Which, hey, good on them, right? Good on WWE for taking advantage of it, because obviously WWE taking advantage of it is getting people excited. Definitely getting people excited. I mean, look at this. This image that's on the screen, guys. KO dashes Seth freaking Rollins. WrestleMania dreams in a wild brawl. That was also, right? Seth's WrestleMania dreams were dashed. They are not even hiding it anymore. They are definitely talking about it. Now, why out of all nights is WWE deciding to tease it now? I mean, we'll find out, right? But it's going to be very interesting. Arturo says, you think Cody will have the same AEW entrance? No, I don't think so. I love the Kingdom song. But I don't think so. And you never know either, too, by the way. Just kind of keep that in mind. Like, technically speaking, I never thought the Hardy Boys music would be on AEW. So here we are watching Dynamite, and Jeff Hardy gets a massive pop. The Hardy Boys Team Extreme music. I mean, it was just the Hardy Boys in general. That theme song, when that popped on AEW, a lot of people were talking about it. So just for context, that was like one of the things that I didn't expect it, and it still happened. I very well think it could happen with Cody, and I think it could happen with Cody in WWE, technically speaking. Let's see. Did Cody show? If not, how do we know he signed? Jake Smith, thank you for the comment. There was a couple leaks before Raw went on. Nothing official from like Sean Ross Sapp or Meltzer. Now obviously Slice Wrestling is somebody I have mentioned in the past, had some really big stories. Slice had tweeted it out. There was a leak on Reddit as well. There was quite a bit of stuff. So nobody knows for sure, obviously, but there was a lot of things that were alluded to it, and then obviously WWE played into it. And then, of course, you got to remember, Meltzer mentioned something the other day, too, about Cody possibly being on Raw against Rollins. Then there was also the thing of Sean Ross Sapp's report that we talked about on a video the other day, where an AEW EVP kind of teased it. So, Dark Devil, keep up the grind, Angle. I got to dip. I got to pick up my niece. Hey, Dark Devil, thanks for supporting the stream today, becoming a member, and your super chats. I appreciate it. Have a good night. Speaking of theme songs, Edge with the new theme, never thought he would change it. Look, guys, he came out as a heel. He did a phenomenal job. The theme song is fire. I thought they did a wonderful job, honestly. I like this heel Edge. It doesn't make sense for him to have the "You Think You Know Me" on his day. I see clearly. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that really makes sense in 2022 when you're a heel. That song is obviously going to get a major pop from the fans. Edge is trying to really turn this heel turn into something massive. So far, I am intrigued by it. I can't wait to see how that turns out too. That should be really, really interesting. But it's cool. He went with another Alter Bridge song for a heel theme. It actually slaps. WWE's theme songs lately has been kind of poo-poo, to be honest. So, that's a good thing. Jake says, Cody could be playing everyone. Genius move if he is. I mean, he did say it was going to be a wild and bizarre ride, so you never really know. And that's why I think we're paying so much attention, too. I think one of the reasons why I pay so closely attention to all the details that's happening with Cody is because nobody really knows what they've been doing here. Like, every week there's a different report. Every day there's like a different news cycle on it. So, it is something I have noticed for sure. Arturo says, I feel like it will have a better reaction if he showed up with his AEW entrance. I think either way at this point. And again, I don't think it's the end of Cody Rhodes just because he didn't show up tonight. I don't think that, you know. Just because he didn't show up tonight doesn't mean he won't show up at all. Obviously, you never know. But it will be very, very interesting. Al says Cody is possibly going to appear in Rosemont, Illinois, which is ironic because that's when he debuted for AEW. Very interesting. Very interesting. Coach says, Ango, I'm a dip. First day classes tomorrow, fire. College. Okay, I see. Enjoy the content, bro. Hey, Coach, thank you for your support today. I appreciate it, and good luck in college. Good luck in college. Enjoy. Thank you for stopping by. Teco says, Alter Bridge, the other side, if anyone is curious. Yeah, I don't know if I put it in my Discord server or not. I know I did tweet. I think I tweeted it out. Hey, the Entrance song is sweet, man. I'm glad they changed it. Honestly, when I heard the start of it, I was like kind of scared that like they screwed something up and they didn't do anything. But nah, it's a good entrance song. Camden says they should have a triple threat between Brock, Rhodes versus Reigns at Mania and have Rhodes win. Oh, I don't know about that, Camden. I don't know if I would put Brock, Rhodes, and Reigns in a triple threat. Very, very interesting stuff. But all right, guys. It is 12:30. Very interesting night. Thank you so much, by the way, for everybody. Super chats, new members, all of that stuff. I'll be live tomorrow night after NXT. We're going to start doing this more often. NXT, Raw, SmackDown, Rampage, Dynamite. I'll keep you guys updated. So, thank you again. Oh, Albert, right as we're about to go off. Let's see. Albert just left another $5 super chat. Guys, seriously, we're spending all this time on a sport that is predetermined. He's got us all big time. Oh, of course, yeah. 100%. I don't know if I expected Cody Rhodes to be the one to get us all talking, but he did. Which is cool. I'm happy about that. Welcome, Harley Davidson. I appreciate you for stopping by. And thank you again, Albert Pons, for your super chat. That was very, very nice of you. Thank you again. But I do agree. Oh, my God. Zachary with another super chat. $4.99. My dad said this is all a work. Cody knew they were making a deal to buy ROH, and this was done to build hype around it. But I think he signed with WWE. Who knows? That's what makes this crazy. There's a lot of people who believe it's a work. There's a lot of people who don't know if it's a work. But Slice Wrestling, so keep in mind, Slice Wrestling for the longest time was saying that this was a work. He was saying, don't listen to the reports of going, and then Slice Wrestling reveals that Cody signed. So I don't know. It's a very, very intriguing and interesting situation. That's why, it could all be one work. Who knows? It's bizarre. It's crazy. It's wild. I'm intrigued by it for sure. And I'll keep you guys updated as always. Thank you again, Albert and Zachary, for your super chats, by the way. Thank you guys so much. If anybody else has a super chat, get it in before we go off the air. I don't want you guys to leave a super chat and then I feel bad that I can't, read it. So. Very good. I thought it was a good episode of Raw, by the way. So, all right, my friends, we are going to call it a night. It is 12:30 a.m. Thank you for stopping by. I'll be back tomorrow after NXT. I'll see you guys. Take care and have a wonderful night.